Salam. Good morning. This is Mohammed Moin Rahman from ITN News, Islamic Television Network. Today we start with the main item on the news in United States or all over the world, which is Rafah. The IDF, the Israelis, have launched an attack on the last city in Palestine, Rafah. Supposedly the target is the few hundred Hamas. They have already killed 40,000 people, Palestinians, and if that was not enough, to follow up with 15,000 approximately or even more, there is no recorded number of the rapes committed on the Palestinian mothers and daughters in front of their children sometimes. Now it is Rafah. We all know what they're going to do in Rafah. Kill the civilians because the criminals always escape. Because there are a few hundred who went into Israel on October 7th and did the crime. They were criminals. They should be punished. But how do you punish an entire civilization, an entire population of civilians, men, women, children? 35,000 deaths do not mean anything, not only to the Israelis, to Mr. Netanyahu, as well as both the networks aiding and abetted by the government of United States. The networks, when it is spoken about that, they say it is war and people die in war. Germany was responsible for the Holocaust, the worst crime probably known to man in modern times. The killing of innocent women, men, and children, elderly, in camps like Auschwitz, Sobibor, Treblinka, the Warsaw Ghetto, Majenka, so many other concentration camps. Innocent people murdered. But the entire population of Germany was with the Führer. After the war ended and the Allied forces won, do we have any record of going after the women and children and killing hundreds and thousands of women and children who had sided with the Führer, raping the German women? No, we don't. But since it involves Muslims, they seem to be expendable to the Western world. 2.5 billion Muslims in this world. 7 million only in United States and counting. But I guess it doesn't matter to either CNN or Fox. The other day, there is a program on Fox called The Five. And they were talking about going into Rafah so that justice can be served and those Hamas, few hundred, can be brought to justice. Actually, the mission is to wipe out the Hamas. Just wipe them out. Knowing that there are over 2 million. One man's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. How many of those freedom fighters are we creating by this act? What will happen 10, 15, 20, 30 years from today when those children, survivors, who are 3, 4, 5 years old today, will be 25, 30, 35 years old? How do you wipe out an entire block? But right now, they smell blood. Let's go into Rafah, kill the people, rape the women, because it's aided and abetted by the media. Somebody should look at the mirror one bright morning and be ashamed of what you're doing. The Republicans in the United States and the Democrats. And these are God-fearing people, supposedly. And if anybody protests, like for example, Ilhan Omar, she is going to be censured. And everybody is happy about it because she said that some Jewish students are pro-genocide or some Jewish people are pro-genocide. That's not so. Really? Killing of 35,000 men, women, and children are being justified by those some Jewish people, and they are not pro-genocide. This is not genocide because they are going after the Hamas that had captured, kidnapped 800 or 1,200 Israelis and Americans, which is a crime. No doubt it's a crime. They should be punished, but not 35,000, 40,000 people led to their deaths, mutilated bodies, 15,000 plus women raped, and we are going to censure Ilhan Omar because she's a Muslim, so a certified terrorist. When 9/11 happened, not only the 20 culprits that did the hijacking were called terrorists, but somehow the entire population of the Muslim world, though not said so, but were looked at terrorists, as terrorists. And you cannot protest. If you protest, you're siding with the Hamas. That is not how it should be. Even though I agree that the protesters, the students, should not be taking over buildings, but there is anger. People do things in anger that sometimes is not justified. I still would like to see the Muslims' anger come out positive. You have the right to protest, but you cannot throw stones at bullets coming your way. That is not going to solve anything. You have to study, and you have to become something. You have to enter politics. You have to try to become a congressperson, the House of Representatives, the 435 in the US. Target that, become mathematicians, attorneys, professionals, educate yourself, and learn how to fight with the pen. The power lies not in stones or bullets or fighting hand to hand. In the United States, if you say anything against, there are good and bad people in every faith. In Muslims, in ISIS, in the Taliban, in a lot of people who are fundamentalists, they're wrong. But that doesn't mean that the entire population is wrong. And the same goes for the Jewish people. There are good and bad people in every faith. But no, today, anti-Semitic. Everyone who says anything against Israel is anti-Semitic. If you point out a bad Jewish deed, you're anti-Semitic. And the Holocaust, history cannot be erased. It is always there. People might not speak about it, but the historical facts remain, and it will continue to remain. Why do we talk about the Holocaust? Why do we cash in on the Holocaust all the time? Those poor people who gave their lives were taken from them, and some of them, the soap was made out of the fat of their bodies. Their teeth were taken out for the gold in it. Those souls do not deserve to be cashed in all the time. And there are congressmen who come on TV and say, like Mr. Fetterman, I will always be with Israel irrespective of what Israel does. So you can do no wrong. As a nation, you cannot do wrong, even though Mr. Netanyahu is being called the crime minister by Israelis themselves. That is justice. Where do the allegiance lie of some of these congressmen and representatives? Why can't they just think as human beings also? And I hate to bring this up, but why just go back in history to the Holocaust? Why not go back to the times of Jesus Christ? The greatest crime against an individual, a person not born of man, one of the greatest souls that ever walked on earth, Jesus Christ. Who committed that crime against him? Let history come out the way it should come out. Who was Joseph Caiaphas, 18 to 36 CE? He was the high priest in Jerusalem. He had Jesus brought the evening before to him and had him arrested and then taken to the governor, Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. And the governor was forced to order crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Who forced that? It was the Jewish high priest. Not only him, but the entire crowd of Jewish people present over there were asking, yelling for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. As we saw in the movie Ben-Hur, which is a historical fact, Jesus had to carry his cross. Was not even given a sip of water. It was just a movie theatrics where Judah Ben-Hur gave him a glass of water or a sip of water. And even in that movie, the main people responsible for crucifixion of Jesus Christ were left out. The high priest and the Jewish people were not shown in that movie. Jesus was taken to the hill and crucified. Now, crucified is just one word. Can you imagine the pain that was inflicted on Jesus Christ while the high priest and a large group of Jewish people watched as nails went through Jesus' hands, his legs, his feet. He was hung up. Every spears went in. The last drop of water in his body oozed out. Was that not the crime of all the centuries that have passed us is not that part of history. His mother Mary watched. Only a mother can know what the feeling is when her son or her son's life is taken away in this manner. But we won't talk about that. Nobody is allowed to talk about that because that's anti-Semitic. You can only start with the history from either the Pharaoh or the Holocaust. The rest does not matter. Where did the cross come from? Which is the symbol of Christianity today, even in Vatican City and the Pope. Who is responsible for that cross? Is it not the Jewish people? Does that mean that all Jewish people are bad? No. But those people were bad. Let's talk about them too. Today you go to church, 94% Christians in the United States. There are hundreds and thousands of churches all over the world. What do you see at the church? What statue do you see at the church? Jesus crucified on a cross. Can you feel that pain? The pain of a mother, the pain of a person who could raise the dead, who had the power to raise the dead, who had the power to cure lepers and the sick. His last words were, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." That is the forgiveness that supposedly comes from the Christian faith. What are we doing today? Where is that empathy of a Christian? What is this word called anti-Semitic? There are some very good Jewish people. Michael Bloomberg, the Koch brothers, George Soros, Sergey Brin, George Kaiser, Dustin Moskowitz, Donald Bren, Lynn and Stacy Shustrin, Spielberg, the famous director, movie producer, Michael Dell, Edith Broad, Steve Ballmer, and let's not forget Mark Zuckerberg. These people have contributed and given billions. They are good people. So what I'm trying to say is see the good in faith. Just as you see ISIS or Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi or the bad guys, has any program come on TV where they have highlighted a good Muslim? Are all Muslims terrorists? Were the Muslims responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ? Islam had not even come into being. Was not that the greatest act of terror ever? Can you think of one prophet who has suffered as Jesus suffered? From Abraham, Joseph, or all of them that have passed away? Noah, please. There are Jewish people that have done very wrong. There are some bad people. Adam Lanza at the Sandy Hook School who massacred 26 kids, aged 4, 5, 6, 7. Jeffrey Epstein, the sex offender of the highest caliber. He had an island. It's beside the point, but we know which president, the famous Monica Lewinsky president, visited Jeffrey Epstein's mansion and island 8 times. Sam Bankman, the FTX crypto fraud, he was Jewish. Bernie Madoff, the guy got to be the chairman of NASDAQ. $65 billion he swindled. He was Jewish. Harry Goldman sold secrets to Russia. In 1951, the Rosenbergs were the first people to be tried and executed for selling atomic secrets to Russia. They were Jewish. There was another guy, Frank McNamara, the first guy who took out the credit card, the diner's card. He was not a terrorist, but he was a bad guy. Because what he did, he introduced a way of manipulation used today where people are sucked into the credit card world. He was the first guy to come out with the credit card. 30% interest. People are tempted, they get the credit card, and then they pay the interest for the rest of their lives or file bankruptcy petitions because they cannot get to it. And then what about all the gangsters? I'm just talking about not the 5 families, but the Jewish gangsters. What about them? They were not bad people. Lefke Buchalter, David Berman, Meyer Lansky, Abe Bernstein, Bugsy Siegel, the guy who gave us the Sin City. Boy, he was an angel. Arnold Rothstein, Mickey Cohen, Charles Berger, Shander Burns, Abner Zillman, Herbert Blistein, John Factor, Mo Dalitz, Philip Castile, Dutch Schultz, Eastman Gang. These are Just some of the gangsters who were all with Jewish heritage. We all know what a gangster is. Gangster takes your money, gangster kills you, gangster indulges in prostitution, kidnapping, drugs, anything you can think of. No, but we are going to censure Ilhan Omar because she is a Muslim. What right does she have as a Muslim to have a voice? There are 2 Muslims in the House of Representatives today. Muslim population is in 33 states. Yesterday, Donald Trump's speech on May the 12th was in New Jersey. He wants to win New Jersey. Do you know 350 to 400,000 Muslims live in New Jersey? I do not know the reason why Fox is wreaking havoc on the Muslims. This is not what you need, Mr. Trump. Please go easy on a complete race. You need them today, and politics will need them tomorrow. The swing states, it's not only Michigan. You only see Dearborn? You don't see the Pakistanis in Georgia, 100,000 strong? An election was decided by 10,000 votes? Or 12,000 or 15,000? Right now, not one Muslim vote will or should go to President Joe Biden. Just by telling Israel that, oh, we are not going to give you some of the weapons. The damage is already done. You have killed 40,000 people, displaced millions, bombed 23,000 bombings on a 23-mile zone, destroyed 68,000 buildings, raped over 15,000 of our girls, women, mothers, some of them in front of their children, by the valiant IDF. Man, they are courageous. They are fighting a courageous war against civilians who don't have anything to defend themselves on. Where are the values? Values. Not just the value that you get at Walmart, buy one, get one free. Values. Life values. True values.